Rise and Shine Rwanda, it's Wednesday the 14th of February.
Coming up on today's Rise and Shine Rwanda.
UN in Uganda welcomes the swift action by the government.
The Kigali Farmers and Artisans Market takes Kigali by storm, and we have the scoop into this thriving business. Good morning, you're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda with me, Irene Kantengwa.
And me, Fidelis Karangwa. Over the next half an hour, we'll take you through what's trending in the news, business headlines, as well as lifestyle stories. But first, let's take a look into our news features. President Paul Kagame has challenged African insurance sector players to be more innovative to increase penetration and profitability levels. Speaking at the 42nd General Assembly of the Federation of African National Insurance Companies that opened in Kigali on Monday, Kagame noted that despite Africans making up a significant percentage of the global population, Africa's insurance firms continue to generate significantly less revenue compared to the rest of the world, and that the low level of penetration are also unevenly distributed across the continent. As of a few years ago, Africa generates only 1.5% of the global insurance contracts, coming up to $75 billion, with 3/4 of them coming from South Africa. The rest of the continent combined accounts for less than 0.5% of the world market. The president observed that the sector has been slow to adopt innovations compared to other financial sector players such as banks and capital markets, and advised that the growing middle class be included as it is expanding more rapidly compared to anywhere else in the world. He also called on them to consider working relationships with players from across the world, but cautioned them against taking a subordinate role.
In regional news, Sudanese President Omar Bashir has replaced his intelligence chief, Mohamed Atta. On Sunday, a presidential decree announcing Mr. Salah Abdallah Mohamed Salih as the new head of the National Intelligence and Security Service was published. Mr. Atta's sacking comes amidst a sustained clampdown on protests organized by the opposition against the rising food prices. Khartoum has battled protesters angered by the higher bread prices occasioned by a government decision to leave wheat imports to the private sector. Nice agents and anti-riot police have swiftly broken up the protest gatherings in Khartoum and some other parts. The presidential decree also announced the pardoning and reappointment of Mr. Salah Ghosh as the Director of Intelligence.
And in international news, South Africa's ruling ANC party has ended marathon closed-door talks resolving to remove President Jacob Zuma as head of state after he refused to resign. The party's 107-member National Executive Committee met for 13 hours at a hotel outside Pretoria and decided it would recall Zuma from his job as national president, with plans to write to Zuma ordering him to stand down as president of Africa's most advanced economy after he had asked for a few more months in office. Ramaphosa, the de facto president in waiting, has been in negotiations with Zuma, who rejected an earlier request from the party's leaders to step down more than a week ago.
You are still watching Rise and Shine Rwanda. Now, the United Nations system in Uganda welcomes the swift action by the government of Uganda to investigate allegations in the refugee response. These include gross mismanagement, malpractices in the registration of refugees, fraud, corruption, trafficking of girls and women, and threats to UN staff. With us today is Michael Tuwape. Michael Tuwape is a researcher. Thanks for joining us, Michael.
Thank you.
You're welcome to the show. Have you heard about Rise and Shine Rwanda?
Oh yes, I've heard
because,
about
I'm sure you're not Rwandan.
Yes, I'm not Rwandan, but I've heard about the show. I think I've watched it before.
Okay.
On the Rwandan television and then somehow online. Yes.
So, Michael, what is your say about these habits, that have gotten to the nerves of such a huge body like UN to cry out to the government for help?
You're talking about the story of the refugee crisis and what has been happening in Uganda.
The allegations that have been going.
Well, I think it's long overdue. It was time that the UN should have talked about it earlier because they waited until it had hit them. But this has been happening in Uganda. We have had money disappearing in the OPM. We've had money disappearing in universities and all sorts of places. So that is a common norm in Uganda, which is, of course, a problem. It's very disturbing.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, but the government of Uganda's weakness on key factors is overweighing, do you think UN has taken the right move, hoping for a change with the hands of the government of Uganda?
Like I said before, it's long overdue. Even if you love your wife so much, she can't die and you keep her. You must bury her, you have to let her go. Yeah. So the government of Uganda has to get this straight, that what is happening about corruption in Uganda is terrible and they must make sure they stop it.
But this is taking really ages because even if you're mentioning on those other sectors, really, we haven't seen anything. We haven't seen any changes.
Well, the problem is that corruption has become so systemic in Uganda that unfortunately it looks like the government does not have the commitment to stop it. Yeah. Because even the time when it had just started spreading out, the government had the opportunity. But unfortunately, nothing was done, and it's too late. It looks like the people who can stop corruption are no longer the government themselves, because they cannot do it. The system has lived on corruption, and that is what's happening in the country.
But then why? Because at least when you look at some other countries, really, they're trying to fight it. They're trying to fight it. So what do you think is really causing this?
Well, a case in point of Rwanda that has made sure they fight corruption. There is zero tolerance to corruption. Now, Uganda accepted corruption. The government accepted corruption. Even when people have been censored from government, like ministers have been censored for corruption, they are reappointed into cabinet. And government accepts it, parliament accepts it, and the society accepts it. Yeah. Now, so long as something is happening that way, it becomes a very, very, very terrible thing to stop. Because I would give you an example. Even people who are mentioned to have stolen government funds, stolen public funds, diverted public funds, subject themselves for elections, they are elected into public offices. Now, how do you expect corruption to stop in such a setup? There is a need for a total overhaul, and we start the fight of corruption from zero, because Uganda has lost it. We cannot fight corruption at that state, because if you follow what is happening in Uganda,
because it begins with the leaders,
the leaders are changing rules because they need
where to
they need to live on. They want to survive. Everybody wants to survive through corruption, and it becomes very difficult for the population to fight it. Yes.
Yeah, so it just crossed my mind when those stories came up, and I think Uganda, because Uganda hosts the largest refugee caseload in Africa, could it have given a platform to such habits to come up?
Well, it's not really about the burden of refugees, because as we speak now, refugees are coming from Congo to Uganda.
Yes.
Hundreds of thousands of refugees, actually. Unfortunately, some of them died today while crossing Lake Albert from Congo to Uganda. But the burden of refugees is no excuse for corruption whatsoever. corruption has been
No,
in
because
place.
probably it's giving people a chance to grab more and more if someone has done it and they're successful at it. So they feel, okay, more are still coming. Like, it's another chance
I
for
think
me
it's
to get.
more because we tolerate corruption that has caused corruption to grow in the country. The refugee thing is just an opportunity for the corrupt guys. They're waiting for anything to come up. So long as they can come and say, oh, there is a problem here, money appears, they grab it the next morning, do with it this. And it's not just now the corruption of money. We are seeing it grow into other directions.
Into other directions.
We are hearing cases of
human trafficking
because they want to make
women.
money out of it.
Yeah.
Now, every illegitimate means of making money, the guys are running for it. People have made money to be the best thing for them, and they must chase money at whatever cost. So they don't care about humanity, they don't care about integrity, they don't care about anything else. It's just money. Now, if government can tolerate this and make the people accept it, then what else? The society is doomed. That's a very big problem for Uganda. I think we need to pray.
But then the UN applauds the government for the good job. Like, really, do you think it deserves it? I
think the UNDP's words, the country representatives' words were very selected, because when they identified this through the whistleblower, the money of refugees which were being stolen through the whistleblower, what happened? The government of Uganda opened doors for its investigation. When they asked the Prime Minister to allow them have access to information, the Prime Minister gave them access to information. I guess it's a gesture to open way for more inquiry. Because if you start talking a lot about the little you've gotten now, maybe the government may close doors and they will not get access to any information. Actually, even the UN team in Uganda is all on the spotlight because they've been working together with these people.
Anyway, we need to work hand in hand, because this is the same region from Uganda to anywhere else that refugees
Actually,
really
I
take
think
asylum.
the corruption problems in Uganda and the other countries around is a threat to very many things, because we cannot work in isolation.
If
As
it
we
is
go into
happening
East
in
Africa,
Uganda, it is actually crossing to other areas.
Absolutely.
It is absolutely affecting other areas.
Yes, I agree with you. It's affecting all other areas. Like, we're going into the East African integration. Tomorrow, we never know. Rwanda may contribute money to the refugees in Uganda. Like, we had small countries contributing their money for the refugees in Uganda. And then the next thing, the money is just disappearing in thin air. It's totally unacceptable. I think something must be done about this.
Yeah, sure. So that was Michael Tuwape. Thanks for joining us. It was a great moment with your opinion and ideas. Yeah, that was Michael Tuwape, a researcher. We'll come back shortly.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Rwanda. Of late, Kigali has become the home to many small and medium enterprises, and with the various strategies being put in place by the government to support them, this boom is not about to slow down. Today, we look into the Kigali Farmers and Artisans Market, a business giving a platform to many of these small businesses to reach their consumers in a convenient, fun, and engaging manner. Take a look. us now in studio is Florence Mwashimba, the founder of the Kigali Farmers and Artisans Market. Welcome, Florence, to the show.
Thank you so much.
Once again, second time here. How do you feel to be back on Rise of Shine Rwanda?
Nice.
You're a show favorite. Huh? It's a regular thing for you.
I'm not complaining.
Well, you're here on a different purpose altogether.
Right.
Well, with the Kigali Farmers and Artisans Markets. What inspired you to start it here in Rwanda?
So I have been working with a number of farmers, and one of the biggest challenges that I saw with the different works that I was doing was the gap between producers and consumers. I had tried my hand at being like the distributor in terms of bridging that gap for different products, but unfortunately, sometimes how business goes, it doesn't work out well. But I still saw that gap was there, and I really wanted to do something about it. And the concept of the farmers market has been in my mind, though it's not a new concept as such. I mean, it's in Europe, in Asia.
It's very popular.
It's very popular. It's nothing new. But in terms of starting it here, it had been in my head, but I wasn't sure whether it was something that would be accepted. And when my phase of doing the distributorship and trying to help farmers get product to market sort of ended, it just felt like a natural transition to help the farmers and artisans to get their products directly to consumers.
Now, I know you've already had 9 editions since you started it.
Yes.
What would you say the process has been like since you started up to date? I know you had the last one about 2 weeks ago.
Right.
What would you say the journey has been like for you?
Oof, it's been a roller coaster. I tried to do, like with any idea or any business idea that you have, you try to do research, and it was I didn't find anyone who had been doing this. So it was like I was going uncharted territories all on my own. So I was learning everything from scratch, from organizing the event, looking for the vendors, getting a venue, the whole thing. It was learning from scratch, but I thoroughly enjoy such things. So for me, it was exciting. It was opening up my mind and my eyes to the very many possibilities of business and stuff that you can do here in Kigali, in Rwanda as a whole. And of course, there were setbacks here and there, but in all, it has been an enjoyable but very steep learning curve. Yeah.
All right. Now, this, like any other businesses, of course, I'm sure there's a bit of challenges that you faced along the way. What would you say are some of the major challenges that you have had to deal with while getting into this business in particular?
This one was for people to understand why I'm opening a market, because they'll be like,
there's already markets.
There are markets. Exactly, yeah, there's your Nyabugogo, why are you opening a market? And getting people to see I see it in my head the way I want the market to be even in the next 1 year. And getting people to understand that this is not your normal market, like what you're used to. This is more of a place where it's a community. The community can gather. You can come with your children. You can relax. You can have a bite to eat. You can have something to drink. You can do your home shopping. Kids can play. Like it's supposed to be a relaxing scenario. Many of the markets that I organize are not loud. You'll not find them with the street noise and making all this. No. They are very relaxed. You don't feel the pressure. You need to finish your shopping quickly. There's no pushing around. It's more
of like a hangout atmosphere.
Right. But at the same time, what makes it stand out is the fact that all the products that you'll find there are made in Rwanda. So every time you buy something, you're supporting a local business. And most of them, I would say around 98% of the businesses that come and sell at the market are SMEs, micro industries and home industries. So not only are you just buying Rwanda, buy products made in Rwanda, you're also helping build a business from literally scratch. It's when it's still at the infancy stage. Yeah.
Now you just mentioned that 98% of them are people who small SMEs, all this. But at the moment, how many vendors are you working with? And for someone watching us, Sean, they're interested in being part of this community that displays their produce at the Kigali Farmers Market. What are the requirements to be part of this the community?
So currently, we have 60 to 70 unique vendors. When I say unique vendors is you will not find repetition. A lot of the markets, you'll find like, oh, this guy is selling tomatoes and the next one is selling tomatoes, then the next one is selling, no.
Yes.
So if there's someone selling tomatoes and somebody else will be selling potatoes, something like that. For the artisans as well. So we have 60 to 70 unique vendors, each selling something different. If you're interested in applying, you can follow us on Facebook, Kigali Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, Kigali Farmers and Artisans Market. Like now, this week I'm going to be posting about the opening where you can apply. The only thing for me, for you to be able to be eligible, so to speak, to come and sell is as long as your product is of quality and it's made in Rwanda or grown in Rwanda or produced in Rwanda. That's it. It's for me now to come and check and we can talk. All the profits that you make on the day are yours.
Okay.
Yeah, for the vendor.
All right. So now the last edition that you had a special element to it because you also had a blood drive.
Right.
In the spirit of Valentine's Day. What would you say the response was like? Because to be honest, blood drives are not really a common thing done here in Rwanda. Personally, I think the blood drive that I came to at the Kigali Farmers Market was the first one I've ever been to. They're not very common. What was the response like from the people who came to the farmers markets?
It was a mixed reaction. There were those who thought the idea was, unique, interesting, but in terms of the blood donation, it was not as big, or at least as many people. I expected more people to donate.
Yes.
But that is a learning curve, and that's what the market is about with everything that I'm doing. Because every month I try to have an edition. I mean, like something unique about it. Because it's a market. At the end of the day, it's a market, and you want to get people interested to come every other month. So why would I come to this market every month if I'm probably going to see the same vendor?
Yeah.
So I try to have different themes, and the blood donation in this case was, to show love for your fellow neighbor or for your community by donating blood. Those are all learning curves. I've done my own understanding and all that, so I've learned that the next time maybe do it smaller, or how you also approach the whole situation might be a bit different. I did not. It was all in my head how it was going to work out, but the reality was slightly different. But the turnout for the market was superb.
Yeah.
It was one of our biggest markets yet. It was a longer period of time than normal. So in terms of people coming to the market, it did not affect in terms of the people coming to support the market. It's only that people are a bit shy now to go to the blood drive.
Which I think is a mentality that generally as a Rwandan community we need to work on and change.
Yes, yeah.
Honestly speaking. All right. Now, I know you're the only farmers market that is happening in Rwanda.
Right.
But we could use more, like you said, in Europe and America and all these
definitely.
places. They actually happen every day. It's every day there's a farmers market somewhere. So if someone watching our show and who's interested in wanting to start something like this, what is the advice that you'd have for them?
I think like any other business, you should have a clear plan and vision for why you want to start it. A lot of people think that it's a money-making thing or something like that. A lot of these businesses that I'm supporting are startups. They cannot afford your 50,000 francs or 100,000 for a stand every month. They really cannot. So you have to gauge what is the real reason behind why you want to start the market. For me, it was out of a necessity to help the community. And all these people that I'm seeing, I've tried different ways to see how I can help. Some worked, some did not work. They flopped miserably. And this one seems to be the best because I am not like selling the product.
Exactly.
I am literally just introducing
giving them a platform. Exactly.
Yes, to come and sell. So for me, I have a very clear vision that this is about supporting the community and growing businesses that have every opportunity to grow if they are just given that small opportunity. So if somebody is interested in starting something like this, I always say start with a clear thought and process in your mind why you're doing it. Of course, a business plan would help, whereby you have to calculate your costs. How are you going to cater for the needs of the market every day. There's so many, it's a long list, but you have to have like a proper, just think of it like preparing for an event.
Exactly.
An event management kind of thing. But this is something that you'll continuously do. It's whether you want to do it weekly or bi-weekly or monthly or however many times. And most of all, you have to be ready to grind. Like you have to walk, you have to talk. You cannot just sit and wait for customers to come.
Yes.
You have to look for partners, you have to look for people to support you, you have to constantly look for new vendors, new people to come and sell.
Yeah.
And you have to be very supportive of their businesses. Yeah.
All right. So now as we come towards the end of our discussion, what can we expect from the Kigali Farmers and Artisans Market in the near future? Let's say 2018, the coming months, what can people look forward to? Why should people attend the farmers market? Give us a run for our money. Why should we be here?
Well, I'm looking for bigger partnerships. That is already on the way. For the market to grow, it definitely needs support from the community. And when I say like bigger partnerships, I'm talking like the government or NGOs, people who can see the potential in the market and support me for longer periods. Because most of the people who have been supporting me will do it month by month. I'm looking for bigger, longer partnerships, so to speak. And with that means that the market can grow. My ideas, they're under lock and key. However, my biggest focus right now is looking for partners who can see the same thing about buying local, supporting local, and dealing with made in Rwanda products. That is the biggest focus for me right now. Hopefully, in the next 1 year or two, we would be in a permanent location. All tourists who are coming into Kigali,
They know exactly where to come to.
Stop one has to be Kigali Farmers and Artisans Market. You cannot pass by Kigali without passing by there.
That's a very, very big dream, very realistic, by the way, and let's see how you're going to do it, because you've been here before talking about something else altogether, and you're just going over and beyond and doing better every time. Thank you, Florence, for being here. We look forward to having you once again, and I'm sure next time it will be with, again, like I said, something even bigger. Of course, like she said, be sure to visit the Kigali Farmers Market, Farmers and Artisans Market. If you're in the search for anything organic, anything made in Rwanda, that is the place to be.
Actually, the next one will be March 3rd. Let me just say that.
All
March
right.
3rd.
So no
and follow our Facebook page to know like the venue and the times and everything.
Perfect. Thank you, Florence.
Thank you so much.
You're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break. Now, don't forget, we love to hear your thoughts, comments, and feedback on what we're talking about here on Rise and Shine Rwanda. Tweet us at Rise and Shine RW. Like us on Facebook and send us your ideas for programs. Check out our Rise and Shine Rwanda YouTube page where you can catch all the shows and reports that we do. Find us on Instagram, Rise and Shine RW. We love to see your pictures. Or check out our Rise and Shine Rwanda website.
Well, that's all that we have time for today. We love to hear your feedback, and do let us know if you have any idea for the program. You've been watching Rise and Shine Rwanda with me, Irene Kanengwa.
And me, Fidelis Karangwa. From me and the rest of the Rise and Shine Rwanda team, would like to wish you a very good day, a very happy Valentine's Day. Have a good rest of the week. Goodbye.